Hello everyone, welcome back my dear mates to the AI Techniques course. Today we're gonna learn chapter 4 where we are going to learn about one of the interesting AI techniques called case-based reasoning. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about several interested topics. We will start up by discussing a process called a knowledge discovery in databases known as KDD and learning algorithm. Then we will be shifted to the case-based reasoning in which we will discuss an overview of CBR. Then we will know how CPR is implemented by discussing the CPR cycle and system. Then we will know the similarity in CPR and we will compare CPR with a role-based expert system. Lastly, we will end our lecture by presenting or discussing a type of a CPR applications that currently used in our daily life. So let us begin with discussing or having a look to the knowledge discovery in databases known as KDD. So KDD, firstly, let us raise a question here. What is knowledge discovery in databases, KDD? Why do we need a KDD? Or what is the aim of KDD? The answer of these questions can be captured in this figure here. Look at this figure here. Initially, we do have a large amount of data that are stored in the large databases. However, the user wants or we want to extract the knowledge, the valuable knowledge from this large amount of data. So the process of extracting the knowledge can be done by implementing a KDD. So KDD is a very wide process of finding the knowledge from the data in the context of a large databases. So the main aim of KDD is to extract the knowledge from a large amount of data. So when we say KDD is process, meaning that the words of a process here indicating that we do have a certain number of steps that have to be conducted in order to extract the knowledge. KDD is proposed by Fayyad and his colleagues in 1996. So graphically, this is how it looks like. This is depictions or the outline of KDD process. Here it is. You might see a different visualizations representing the same concept of KDD process, but this is the versions of outline for KDD process that we are going to use in our course. So KDD, as you can see here, is end-to-end process with so many steps over here in many feedbacks, and the outcomes of each phase is feeds to the next steps. So as you can see here, the journey of KDD process start at the bottom left corner here with a data, the data that you have a right to access. Is it within organizations or the data that you have the right to access for over the internet? So it starts with the data over here and finally ending with extracting the knowledge. The entire process of KDD include a certain number of steps that have to be executed. Started with step of selections, then moving to the second step, which is a pre-processing, then transformation, the third steps, then fourth step is a data mining, then the last steps, which is interpretation and evaluation step. So how these steps is executed and what is happening in each step This is what we are going to discuss in the next slides. So now let's discuss in detail each step of KDD process. The first phase is called selection. The selection phase is indicated to the process of selecting a certain data from the set of the data that we have here. So it is the process of obtaining a data for the entire process of KDD. So in this phase, the data that we are going to select is called a target data. Target data here is created by selecting a significant data from here. What do we mean by significant data here? We mean the parts or pieces of data that is related to the problem that we are trying to solve or to address in this process. So as you can see here, initially we do have the entire data here, and the selection phase is executed with the aim of extracting the significant data. Significant data is the data that is related or relevant to the problem that you need to address. So these pieces of data, the selected data, is called as a target data. So this is the output of the selection phase. So then in the next phase, the target data goes through the next step or the second step of KDD process named as a pre-processing. In a pre-processing phase, a process called a data cleaning is conducted in order to what? In order to make the target data a good enough fit for the classification process of the knowledge discovery process. So a pre-processing data is steps is conducted with the aim of making the target data is a fit or a good enough for the next process of KDD in order to extract the knowledge. So what is the data cleaning process? So that data cleaning process here is referred to the process where we need to conduct to clean the target data to make this target data fit into the classification process. So cleaning process include a process of replacing the missing value that can be exist in the target data, because for example we can find some data with the values that are set to the null value, so we need to replace that data, and we also need to correct all inconsistent values, and we need to verify all the values in the target data are correct, and we need to eliminate unwanted attributes, so forth and so on, of the process of a data cleaning. So by conducting a data cleaning process in a pre-processing steps, the target data here will be presented as a pre-processed data. A pre-processed data meaning that the data already cleaned by conducting the pre-processing steps. So the outcome of a pre-processing steps is a pre-processed data, meaning that the data that we already clean, and we ensure that this data is fit for the classification process, or this data can be used to be run smoothly in order to obtain a good result. My friends or my mates, if we didn't execute the cleaning process accordingly in a correct manner for target data, do you think that we'll be able to obtain an accurate output of KDD process, which is a knowledge extraction? Definitely not. we are not going to secure an accurate result unless the target data has been cleaned well in the pre-processing steps. So meaning that if the data is accurate, a pre-processed data is accurate, then the only extracting knowledge will be much accurate. So the accuracy of the knowledge that is going to be identified in the KDD process depends on the accuracy of pre-processed data, and that's why a pre-processing phase is considered one of the essential steps in the KDD process. Then, in steps of a KDD process that is named as a transformations, the pre-processed data that is generated or produced from a pre-processing goes through the next steps, which is called the transformations. Actually, the steps of a transformation is executed with the similar aim of the pre-processing, where we need to make the data, the pre-processed data, good enough or fit for the next steps of classification process for the KDD process. But here the transformation steps is executed with not conducting a cleaning process. It is conducted with transforming the pre-processed data here into a usable format, meaning that into a type of a format that can be used for data mining for the next steps. So transformations will format the data into a usable format. How these usable formats can be happened by using a certain techniques that requires a specific data formattings. We also do the transformations for data by, for example, combining some of the attributes that exist in the processed data and to produce a new value. In transformation, we are just transforming the pre-processed data into a usable format to be used for a data mining process. So that's why the transformation steps here produce a transformed data from the pre-processed data, because we are just transforming the pre-processed data into transformed data. This is the aim of a transformations and the output of the transformation step. Then the next step of KDD process is a data mining. So after obtaining the transformed data from the transformation steps, it comes to a data mining steps. So let us raise question here. What does the term of data mining mean here in KDD process? Data mining is presented here as a step in KDD where the data mining refer to the process of what? Of discovering the pattern, or we can say the useful information from transformed data. So it is the process of discovering the pattern, the useful informations from the transformed data. So data mining step do the discovery of the pattern from the transformed data by applying a suitable algorithms to transform a data into a desired result. As it can be seen in the shown figure, that the transformed data here is pushed into data mining phase. Then the data mining executed where the suitable algorithm does the mathematical process to identify the patterns or the interesting knowledge based on a data mining tasks. So data mining tasks, there is a different task of data minings here. So for example, maybe by classifying the data or categorizing the data Also, this is the task is based on the goal of the user, that the user had to determine what is the goal of the data mining. So to conclude that, a data mining steps receive the transformed data, and the data mining is executed in order to uncover the patterns or the interesting knowledge from the transformed data. And this can be executed by implementing suitable algorithms. So the output of data mining is the patterns that or the interesting knowledge that we discovered from the transformed data. Then we go to the last steps of KDD process is called as interpretation or evaluation, where in which these steps convey the data mining result, which is the pattern, right? This is the pattern. This is the result of a data mining, and which is an interesting knowledge. It conveys the pattern into understandable format to be used by the user. So just only convey the pattern here of a data mining into understandable format so the user can understand or can use this interesting knowledge. How the interpretation or the evaluation do the process, can be achieved by evaluating, where we need to evaluate the patterns here or the interesting knowledge here in order to ensure derived patterns here is a clear and express the result, and this result is straightforward to the user, where the user can fully understood the informations without having any misunderstanding. Thus, the discovering button must be precisely evaluated in the evaluation phase in order to present these patterns to be easily understood by the user. So this is the ends of the KDD process. So to summarize everything, we start with the data, then we need to do the selection process and the selection phase, where we need to select the significant data here that is related to the problem that we are going to solve. Then we need to do the pre-processing steps, where we need to clean the target data in order to get this clean data named as a pre-processed data. Then in transformation phase, we is conducted in order to transform the pre-processed data into transformed data, meaning that into usable formats to be used for data mining process. Then in data mining steps, we do extract the patterns or the interesting knowledge from the transformed data. Then in the interpretation or evaluation phase, we are evaluating the patterns and conveys the patterns or the interesting knowledge that we derive from the transformed data into the user by presenting it in understandable format to be easily understood by the user. So this is, we can say, the whole journey of the KDD process. I hope it is really clear right now.